And these are the 10 stocks that insiders are buying the most. And it doesn't mean that these are great stocks just because, but you can go to insidemonitor.com. You can go to the top 10 insider buys of the week. And if we go to page 1, we can see here CXM is one. And then you can also see at what price and then what the value. So the site is Inside-Monitor. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. And then you can look and see what people are buying that have a considerable amount of capital that you may want to invest in. And then also too, you can click real time to be able to see. So Dustin, that used to be at Facebook, of course, Asana, added there. First Merchants, FRME, Source Capital, and then you can use the site to see what people are buying, which could potentially give you an edge. And lastly, this is the secret investment hack that I never talked about, even in Stock Club, to know if your investment is safe. So anytime I make a long-term investment, if I'm going to hold it for a 10-year period, I'll go through my analysis. I'll look at the 5-year month, right? And I'll say, okay, great. Is this company dominant in this space? Are they better than all the other competitors? Great. How much of a hedge or a shield do they have? A moat do they have for a 10-year period? After that, this is what I do. I go and see for all the funds that Vanguard has and the ones that BlackRock has, are they in majority of their funds? Because in order for an investment to work, you need a whale or a market maker to make it work for you. Right? So I know if the value of that stock is going to stay high, if they are in favor with Wall Street and the predominant funds have them, I have a greater chance for Apple and Microsoft to be safe. Also, when you're doing your back testing, please write this down. It's a super gem. When you're going back and looking at 10 years and 20 years to see if it's safe, you need to go see who was the predominant hedge fund at that time. So in 2008, Goldman had more influence. So you need to go look and see, were these stocks in favor with Goldman? So you may look from 2008 back to 1998 to see what were the top holdings of Goldman Sachs and compare that with the growth of that stock. Because if they have government influence and connections and they are heavily invested because they want their shares to go up, it is a safety net for me. At this time, being Vanguard and BlackRock are two of the most dominant investment firms out right now. If they are not in majority of their funds, I won't touch it. That's the secret. In every market, there is a market maker, rainmaker, shot caller, however you want to frame it, that is going to invest a significant amount of money into that business. I want to make sure that Buffett, Vanguard, BlackRock, the top traders and top investors in the world are putting their money there as well. That way I would never have to wake up and worry if Apple is going to go out of business or if they're going to have a 25 or 30% drop. For those of you that are investing veterans, you remember what it was like in 2006 and 7 and 8 when Apple was not that favorable amongst Wall Street and Steve was deemed to be too volatile or too much of a creative to run a business. That's why Tim running the business is more favorable for Wall Street. And like I said, I can argue that he would be the Steve Jobs of operations. And Tesla needs a character such as Tim Cook to help round out some of his eccentric, how do you say it? Eccentricness. I don't know. I messed up. You can kill me in the comments. His unique nature, right? To round that out, to make the company look more stable and more viable as a long-term asset class. That's why when he went on Rogan and smoked weed, got killed. The SNL thing wasn't the best, you know, the pumping of Doge and Bitcoin. It makes him look very erratic and not tethered to what the actual mission is. But anytime I'm going to make a considerable long-term investment, I am looking to see what the dominant institutions, going back to the top 2 players in a space, correlation, and I'm going to look there and see what they are doing and if they're investing in those as well. And some of you have been asking me, what is the psychology of a short-term investor slash trader? And I'll cover this in full next week, but the one thing I want to stress to you you have to make the decision, and we talked about a couple of weeks ago, like what is the income goal that you want to have for your family in aggregate. So let's take 10 generations, and then let's take your lifetime income goal. I'm gonna be real. Most of you don't take trading serious because the way that you've been trained in a job, the sacrifices that you have to make to be great at something is different when you're being an entrepreneur. And that's why I always tell entrepreneurs, you're not guaranteed to make any revenue because you started a business. No one has any reason to support you, right? Even if they like you. We've seen a lot of people on Instagram turn into business people and not get the support they thought, even if they may have 1 million followers. The first thing you have to know is the income goal that you're looking to hit. And then whatever that goal is, the discipline then has to match. That's why when a lot of you were saying, hey, sniper program, first thing, check in every day, 7:20. I want to see who's not going to check in. Guess what? The people that checked in at 7:20 every morning on time, they're doing well. The ones who would check in at 3, they're not doing well. Discipline. Even on a juice fast, there are certain moments of clarity that you will have by doing it. And people was asking, why was I doing it? I'm like, for health, spiritual reasons, but also to push myself. Like, some of you say I can never do that. I'm like, do you think you'll actually be able to make $5 million in a year if you can't give up eating for 7 days? The amount of discipline to put in systems and infrastructure and hire the right people is way more daunting than not eating physical or hard foods for a 7-day period. Way harder. The first thing you have to master is your discipline. I will go into the full 10 things that you have to master as a trader next week. But the first thing that I need you to master is discipline. So, unless you're diabetic or have any kind of health conditions, please consult your doctor. I'm not one. I do not play one on TV. But you have to, I would argue that you should do a juice fast. And then after the juice fast, you should get in 10 miles every day for a 50-day period. If you don't, or you're not able to do that, you shouldn't trade. You shouldn't trade. I'm going to be honest. But once you know what the lifetime goal is, and then you have the discipline there physically, then you can take on the mental challenges that come with trying to be an investor. Because once again, when you're trying to be a trader, you're competing against the best people on earth to ever invest. There is no biddy ball. There's no AU. You go right to the pros and compete against the best. Is your discipline in order to be able to take the right move at the right time? Like, I've given every rule, every structure, every secret. It's about you applying them. But I'll go into the full 10 next week. I love you guys. Over.
My graduates from my school being Forbes, bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop, bag drop.
Bag drop.